Welcome to Creating Art with Jenny. Today I'm going to share with you how I make cards for my Etsy store, Girl California. My journey began about 6 or 7 years ago when I had a strong desire to start watercolor painting again, and I decided to paint all of the missions in California. And so it took me about 3 years to go through that, and then I decided, I was like, well, I really want to sell my cards, my paintings, and so I decided what is the best way to do that. And I had not created an Etsy store first. So here's an example of this. Is an original watercolor, and I painted that actually, and it says in October of 16th, which is kind of funny because it's almost to this date, because it said 10/25/16. So I had all of my paintings, and I decided to start learning how to Photoshop. So I took pictures of my paintings and I kind of threw them into Photoshop because I knew if I wanted to mass produce them, I needed to be able to print them. So I went ahead and I worked on them, and I learned how to do Photoshop, and then I sent them. This is the only thing that I actually have professionally printed. But I have on the back, these are little postcards. I have my missions in watercolor, and then a little something about the mission. This one is in San Luis Obispo. And so I really wanted to sell these, and I did not start on Etsy, but I ended up on Etsy because I found that the best place to just kind of get my work out there. So I have 21 that I went ahead and these are high quality. And so in order to make any kind of profit off of them, I really had to buy them and get them printed in bulk. And so I went ahead and chose to do that. And it's the only thing that I actually do have professionally printed, like I said. But I'm super happy with the results. I have a really nice little printer here in San Jose that I use. And so you will find also that on my Etsy store, if you go there, it's the only thing I also charge for shipping because of the weight. And I do try to be, on my Etsy store, I do try to make everything like free shipping, but not for my mission postcards. Those seem to be a fairly good seller, at least in California. So I started with this because I knew, I started with my printed postcards, and they started to sell quite well. And so then I started to make handmade cards. And so I have a watercolor card that you can just purchase off of Amazon. And so I would hand paint several of these, and then in order to make sure I have my name on it, I actually did have a stamp made, and it says Jenny L. Self, Etsy, Girl, California. So I will stamp that on my ones that I hand paint. And so this is also, though, it's time consuming, and I sell mine for $5 or $7 or $10. It kind of just depends. And I do this as a passion. It's something I really like to do. And so am I making money? I am making some money. Can I retire from this? No. So my husband's always teasing me about it, but I mean in a nice way. But it is something we laugh about when you hear the chicking on your phone. You're like, oh, we can retire now. But no. But it fills me up. So it is something that I do that fills me up, and I enjoy doing it. So that being said, there are a lot of cards that I still paint by hand, but I was trying to figure out, I was like, what can I do in order to make it a little less laborious? So one of the things I do is I actually will run these cards through the printer, and I will pre-print this, and like Happy Mother's Day, so I make sure the printing's nice, and then I have this also thrown into Illustrator. And yes, I actually did go in and take basically self-taught myself Illustrator, but this kind of makes it a little bit easier. I will kind of tape this off, paint my little tulips, and I also do that for several of my other cards. So this one is a little iguana that I created, and it's Feeling Blue Without You. So everything you see the outline is printed, so it comes out clear, and then I paint it with watercolor on here. And then of course I have I have a line of cards in my Etsy store, and it's called they're kiss cards. Let me see if I can autofocus that a little bit better. I call them kiss cards, and it's basically Keep It Simple cards by Girl California. And so that makes it a lot faster to get a card reproduced. So I have my print, I have my basic outline, and then I do watercolor it. And then one of my other bestsellers that I have is a little watermelon card, and it basically says Happy Summer, and I do some watermelons on here. And then I also have a printed one that I do. So again, I created this in Etsy, and I print it on watercolor paper, and then it's usually a double sheet, and I will show you how I cut my paper, and then also how I fold it. But I had found that it was so much easier just to pre-print things I wanted printed before I painted. And so the caveat is you have to be careful when you paint, because if you mess it up, then you mess up your card. But I guess that's true for anything you do, right? And then also one of the things I really do love about Illustrator is you can get the colors are so vivid when you print. And I love just creating things. I really started having fun with Illustrator. But here's another one that I actually watercolored before I put it through the printer, because it was more about the words, and then it was just, it was supposed to be something about the morning. And so I painted it, and then I put it through. Of course, I let it dry, and then I put it through. So these are some ways that I make it a little bit more manageable to sell cards and create more cards on my Etsy store. So most of these are on the watercolor is 140-pound weight. I usually use the Canon paper that you can get from like Michael's or in bulk. Sometimes I have Arches too, but Michael's always has those sell like buy one get a second one half off. And so I will use that. And then, like I said, here is a blank card, and it does have a little crease in it already, which is nice. And then it's easier to fold after you've painted it. But one of the things, I'll save them like that. So here is Illustrator. These are painted, and then I also have a huge line of cards that are pretty good sellers as well, of my watercolors that I did that I personally took a picture of, and then I just go to Walgreens and I get like 20 of these produced for not much at all. They're like 8 cents or 10 cents by the time they're done, and then I attach them to a beveled edge. This is an off-white beveled edge paper that I also get off of Amazon, and these are pre-folded cards. So let me show you, let me take you through this process real quick, because it's really not that long to do. And when I'm putting this on, I'm going to turn the light over here. Hopefully it's not going to glare too much, but I was having trouble with the glare. So I'm going to put those to the side. And also, so now you can see it's a little bit more where the crease is. So what I'll do is I will go ahead and stamp my card, make sure that's the right way, with my stamp, because I'm not running it through Illustrator. Kind of let that dry. And you do have to be careful, because that does sometimes take time to dry. And then all I do is I use just a little tape dispenser, and I go around the edges and tape my photo. Make sure it's down pretty well. Try not to touch it too much. It's a pretty little easy thing to use. And making sure you line it up properly. And then I just have my card on here. So how do I fold it? Well, I will take my card, make sure I'm lining that right here because it's already pre-folded, and then I use a creaser just to make sure it creases nice and smooth. And then I have my card. So that's a pretty easy thing to do, and they come with matching the envelopes, the blank not envelopes, but cards actually do come with matching envelopes. So then I have my card on there that was made by me, and I have my story name. So that's another way that I do it if I'm not doing Illustrator or hand painting something. So here is a card that I printed out on Illustrator. This is one of my best-selling cards. It's To New Beginnings. I created it. And then I have my little kiss cards. And so I've made a double. This is on just an 8.5 by 11 sheet. So I take, don't want to take that yet. I have a little Fisker's map. And so I take this, and I know exactly where I have it lined up. I know exactly where I am, because when you use Illustrator, you really can set things appropriately. And once you get your printer in sync with your cards, you know the dimensions and know exactly how to place it so it's even. So you get very reproducible cards that are good quality. And so I'm going to set this to the side. And then I found out about this about a couple of years ago, and my life changed. It's called a score buddy. And so it's a super easy thing to do. And you just figure out where, because of the size card, I know it's right here where the little flower thing is. So it's 4.5. Make sure it's lined up. And I go back and forth just a little bit, and set that to the side, still making sure your surface is clean before you fold it. And still, I do still make sure it will automatically fold, but I also just make sure that the edges are nice and neat. So there we go. So I have, I just want to make sure that's still in focus. Then I have a card, inside's blank. And then I have my name on the back with my kiss cards and by Girl California. So I can produce multiple of these, and it's super easy. And I will share with you the type of printer and paper I use, and also how I take a photo and put them in. So it's not as daunting as you think it is, but it is a lot to kind of get started. Real quick before I leave and show you everything else, I do also make tags. So tags you can do also in Illustrator, and then I also do hand painted ones. I used to do the grommets, but for shipping it doesn't work as well. And then sometimes I like to do little dried flowers. But these you can reproduce. I put about 8 on a sheet, and they're easy to cut. And I used to have a cutter that would cut out this shape, but I stopped using it because they're kind of pricey, and then they work for about a little bit, and then they stop working. And so I'm not one. I know that you can really invest if you're super into tags. There's more money to be spent, but I did not want to on these things that like cut multiple at a time. I just didn't want to invest in all of that. So these are hand painted, and these are on watercolor paper, and I do like to do that. So my hand painted tags I sell are a little bit more expensive, but my illustrated ones are less expensive. So tags is another way, an easy way to kind of get in and to have fun. And then I usually just tie mine with I have a bulk of twine that I tie mine with. All right, so let's get started. I think I have covered everything except for how to print, and and what kind of paper I use, and then also how to take a photograph. I hope this has been informational. Let's move on to the next section. Okay, so how do I print my cards? I print them on a Canon Pixma, which is an IP 8720, and I've had this little printer for about 4 years. It folds out nicely. I keep it shut up during the week when I'm not using it because of dust, and it does just open up very quickly, and I can pull it out all the way to catch my paper, and it has given me, I've had it for about 4 years, and it's never given me any trouble. So I really do like it a lot. It's super easy to change the cartridges inside, and I just and I only have these colors on my printer. And then also I use to print with, it took me a lot of years to figure out, and sometimes I will still use like tag board to print on, but mostly I print on this ultra premium presentation paper mat, and I buy in bulk. It's 8.5 by 11. This is 250 sheets. Remember, when you buy things in bulk, it really does cut down your cost in the long time. So this is very light sensitive, so you have to keep it, I keep it underneath here, and I always keep it closed up because I don't know what it is, but it just says make sure it stays in the dark. So I keep it down there and it's in the dark, and it works wonders. So that's, and it has a side, you can feel it. When you take the paper out, you can actually feel which side you need to print on. And then also for writing on it, it just writes beautifully, and the colors come out so nice. So I've been very pleased with that paper, and you can find it at several different places. Okay, so when you are ready to take a photo of your card that you've created, one of the best investments you can make is a light box. I'm pretty sure I bought this off of Amazon, and it's 20-30 bucks. I'm not exactly sure. Super easy to put together. The blue background came with it along with other colors. I tend to just like the blue. It's super easy to plug in. I don't leave it on. You don't want to leave the light on very often, just when you're taking photos. And so when I'm ready to take it, I'm just using my iPhone, and I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to take a picture of it. And then I can edit it in Etsy and get rid of a lot of the blue that I don't want and just focus on my card. And so also I have one of these little, I'm not sure where I got this. It did not come with a light box, but it's a little card holder. And so you can decide what you want to do. And this actually also has a top on it that you can remove if you need more light or whatnot. So it really does give you the best pictures using your light box. I used to try to take them outside or like on the table, and just horrible lighting. So this is a great investment for your cards. Well, thank you for watching my video. I hope that you had some good takeaways from this. And here is to your new beginnings. May you have success and have fun, and may it fill you up. Thank you so much.